So, Mark, did you see that picture of the gambling monk? We all know the roving monks out on the strip. They tried to quote unquote scam you for some money, and now we know what they do with it.
So we're assuming this isn't a real monk. Are they allowed to gamble?
I'm sure he's real. You put on the robe, it makes you real. What do you have to? Does he need a card or something?
He's real good at selling bracelets.
And blowing your money afterwards.
At least he isn't peeing his pants like some other videos.
So it's time for a weather report, Mark. It is summer and you would think it would be hot, but it kind of cooled off yesterday. A crazy storm came through, up to 70-mile-per-hour gusts. I don't know, power was out for like 20,000 people. It got crazy and nuts and branches everywhere.
Throw the trampolines up on the screen right now. Throw them wherever they ended up, in the trees.
I saw an RV tipped over. That was a cool picture.
No, I mean, I like the airport one where they show you can barely see the Delta plane, and then all of a sudden it breaks up a little bit and you can see it. It looks like Dune. If you ever watched that movie, it's exactly what like Vegas turned into Dune for, a couple hours or minutes or whatever.
As someone who's had some very rough landings coming into that airport because of wind, I can't imagine what it was like landing. In fact, I know a lot of planes at one point had to divert because it got so bad. There was video of all the power lines tipped over on Tropicana, just videos everywhere. This was the worst wind I think we've seen in quite a long time. And it got intense. I was outside during some of it. I'm a few miles away from where those poles went down, and it was intense.
Well, I'm glad that you have power since we're sitting here talking today. But when you're in the high rises, sometimes that gets freaky too, because they have the little like valve, pressure release valve by the windows that all of a sudden you'll start hearing wind howling into the room. You're like, what is going on? Because that pops up and the wind comes in. So they have a little bit of a break and you start to get freaked out a little bit there.
And this was scary for some people. When those power lines came down, they came down on top of people's cars, and then they had a shelter in place to make sure. So this was actually a dangerous sort of scenario that I don't think anybody got hurt, thankfully. And we have a lot of damage, a lot of property damage, but glad everybody's safe. And something to talk about other than floods and heat. So Rio is in the news. They're offering tier matching. And they put this all out July 1st. It started. A lot of information there. It says on their website, terms and conditions apply, but it doesn't say which tiers match. They say basically any Vegas casino. It's for new members only. And at this point, is anybody a new member? I imagine not, but if you are, you can give them a try. They're also still matching offers. They've been doing this for a long time. So if you have an offer from another casino, you email them and they might match it to see what you can do. But the big news here that I discovered while looking into this, when I was in Rio last week, I heard Rio Rita on the PA system doing various ads, and I hadn't realized they brought Rio Rita back. Maybe she's always been there and I didn't notice. But then I noticed on their website, you can now meet Rio Rita, Mark, on Fridays and Saturdays from 2 to 6 p.m. There you go. We've always been saying bring Rio Rita back, and they listened.
No, that's cool to see. And I wish they would have done something like if you've never been in since the reopening, or if you were a transfer from Caesars Rewards and you haven't put any spend on it, then you can still get this deal type of thing. If you want to bring people in there, that's the best way to do it. And maybe they will. But if it's blocking anybody that got rolled into Rio Rewards, that's kind of crappy. And how many people are they really going to bring in with this?
I just wish they'd put some terms on the website. I'm assuming if you haven't been there since they took over that they would still do it. But I guess email them, let them know. I'll put a link to their website in the description, and you can go from there. But Rio matching. But I think the big takeaway is we all have to go meet Rio Rita, and maybe we can bring back some of those old school commercials and some of the old school fun.
Creepy guys talking to the ladies. Sounds good.
Isn't that what Vegas is? I mean, that's what I see everywhere. All right. Speaking of Vegas, WTF, I don't know. There's a couple things I saw this week that didn't fit anywhere. Man riding on the back of the bus. I give him an A for effort here. You know, it gets hot in Vegas. You don't want to walk. Just hop on the back of the bus.
Wonder, do you think he was trying to steal some boxes or something and got caught in the middle of it and just hopped on? Or do you think he was going for a ride? I don't know. It reminds me of in India with the trains, people riding on outside the trains, on top of the trains. Crazy dangerous. But yeah, this is wild.
Yeah, don't do this. Not safe.
He should have been on like a skateboard, so it was like the 90s.
Still not safe, Mark. Still not safe. We don't want anybody to do any of that. Not safe also is sitting on one of these urinals. I don't know. This is Flamingo. Chris Holmes shared this. What is that urinal doing? What is the point of that? Is it a bidet? I don't get it.
They just ran out of budget, man, and they grabbed what they had from the back room. I don't know. The only thing I was thinking, did they think that this would work for like somebody in a wheelchair? Or I don't even know what the thought process would be. I'd rather have there be no urinal there than this. It just looks so stupid.
You know that some people messed up in the middle of the night at Flamingo, especially, have used that in the wrong way.
Gross.
All right, so now we lightened you up a little bit. Let's darken things up. We're going to have to talk about this big, beautiful bill as it relates to gambling. And the gambling world has been ablaze the last couple of days as news leaked out that there's changes in the way that gamblers are going to be able to deduct losses. Currently, if you itemize your deductions, you can write off up to 100% of your losses. With this change, you're only going to be able to write off 90% of your losses. And for professional gamblers, 90% of their losses, including any expenses they have. I'll put a link to a couple articles that describe everything in much more detail. It's very nuanced, probably too much for this show, but even hurts recreational gamblers as well. This isn't, I wonder where did this come from? Why can't they just raise the hand pay threshold?
Yeah, if the hand pay raise would have come along with this, maybe people would be more okay with it because there'd be less reported. And maybe they're thinking there's a lot of wins that aren't necessarily tracked if you're not using your player's card and things like that. And they're assuming you're 10% better. But I mean, anybody that gambles for a living knows it's like razor thin margins. So I don't know that anybody's out there making a ton of money and that's below hand pay and not claiming it. It seems weird. I don't know where this is coming from. I could understand if they were saying your losses and your write-offs can't be more than 100% of your wins, which right now you can take your expenses and write that down and show a net loss for the year as a business. So even though that's how all businesses work, I could see why maybe they would want to curb that a bit and people using business as a way to, write off their gambling trips and things like that. I don't know. It doesn't make a ton of sense. And especially if we don't raise the hand pay thing. When I first saw this in the rundown, I was like, oh, cool. We're going to get, like $5,000 hand payments now. Nope.
Yeah, it just keeps getting worse. And you think of like the world of slot influencers now, they're sort of fighting to be allowed to use actual gambling as expenses. That was what they wanted to do, and that's what they've been pushing to do. And this goes in the complete opposite direction of that. And a lot of people saying that they're going to gamble less, a lot of big gamblers kind of chiming in all over social media. So this could be an effect on gaming companies. Are they going to lose a lot of their high rollers, or are they going to gamble less?
Nobody's going to change anything gambling wise. They're just going to it's going to cost them more. If you're gambling like $25,000 a hand or going through 100K in spins, you're going to keep doing that. At the end of the day, another whatever 10,000, 50,000 in taxes probably isn't going to be a huge swinging thing for you.
Yeah, I saw this one big gambler on Twitter saying that he's not going to gamble after January 1st. Laughed at myself because I don't think that's true, but also gamblers are gamblers, man. You got to find something to do, right?
A gambler is a gambler. They're going to gamble.
As a reminder, we have our Patreon. $5 a month gets you access to our weekly after show. A lot of fun, laughs behind the channel. Patreon.com/MTM Vegas for all the information. And thanks to everybody who supports us over there. So the summer of deals continues. A few weeks ago, Caesars had their $50 ticket sale, and Cirque is joining in, and they do indeed have $50 tickets. I was looking at Mad Apple, and I could get third row seats for $50. You have to purchase the tickets by July 14th, but the promotion runs past that. A great time to pick up some Cirque shows. They do have about $16 in fees, so it's not quite $50.
Does this feel like a money grab to you a little bit? Are we worried that this is, to stay solvent and they're trying to sell tickets in the future that they won't be able to make it to the shows?
I think all these shows are safe because they're produced in MGM properties, and so I wouldn't worry about the tickets not being honored or something like that. Does Cirque have money issues? Sure. Yes, they do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm worried about. I would just say use a credit card if you're buying far out into advance, just in case. So you have a little bit more protections. You can file the chargeback. It gives me weird vibes when places that we know are struggling run promos like this. Like if a restaurant that's close to closing runs a 40% off gift cards or 30% off gift cards, do you risk it? I don't think there's as much risk here, but we've talked about their issues with solvency and everything like that. So it just gives me a little bit of pause. So I would just say use a credit card.
I'll just say $50 Cirque tickets. Enjoy. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a great deal.
So much discussion has happened in the comments here, all over social media, about the numbers in Vegas being slower, all the deals happening this summer. And everybody wants to blame corporate greed, whether it be the big casino companies that bought up all the land or the hedge funds that own certain things, the bean counters in every C-suite across the country. But I came across this tweet saying, what is next? What will they take away next? And specifically, it mentions the Bellagio fountains going, I don't know, seasonal or only on certain days when it's busier. Bellagio charging for the conservatory. I don't think either one of those things is going to happen. I think that they realize the value that those things bring. But did this bring anything else to mind? What will we lose next in Las Vegas?
I could definitely see it being on like a shorter schedule.
Yeah, I mean, some of the newer installations of those things, they run constantly, like in Macau. I think Epic Universe they have where they're just constantly doing a show and then they do a bigger show certain periods of time. This doesn't do that. So I can't imagine that it adds a ton of expense. I guess the more you run the jets, the more maintenance you have to do, all of that stuff. But we lost so many free kind of things. The Flamingo, could they get rid of the flamingos at Flamingo? I mean, what else could they get rid of? I don't know.
Is there anywhere left that has water besides Bellagio and MGM properties? I feel like they've taken it all.
Caesar still has all their fountains, so that's good, I suppose. But you got to have a place to take a bath on the Strip.
They already do that.
You could save the bathtubs.
I don't know where we went with that. It was not great.
Chime in with what do you think they're going to take away next? Do you agree with this sentiment? Is there a line that they will not cross? Let us know down in the comments. So on the last show, we talked about the viral TikTok showing Resorts World not wanting to give a smoothie for free to somebody playing $25,000 a hand. And in that video, a mention of Red Rock was made, saying that they wouldn't do this. And Red Rock kind of leaned into it and made their own social media video showing that their cocktail server always knows what the gambler wants. It was a pretty cool troll, I'd say.
Yeah, I saw Rio had commented in that thread too, like not on the Red Rock thread, but the original video thread, and was like, "Hey, come here. We'll take care of you. We'll give you all the smoothies you want." And so it's just so stupid and bad looking. I want to talk about this more in the after show because it's just I've never seen anything quite like this, and it's so much worse in Vegas because it was built on experience. It was built on being over the top, and now this is like as cheap as it gets. It wasn't like he was asking for some specialty fruit that's only grown in some area. You like a strawberry banana smoothie. You have to have a coffee shop that makes them somewhere. Go get one. Even if you're the pit boss and you're like, I can't comp this, pay it out of your pocket. Who cares?
Well, I mean, that shows where Vegas service culture is these days. And this is just bad luck for Resorts World that not only did this go viral, but that another casino was mentioned. And then
how
the
much dumb crap have they done? They deserve it all.
They deserve it all. I mean, I guess that's true. There's been so many stories over the
Mr.
just a few years.
Oh, here's a baby T-shirt with your package.
The list goes on and on. The big board being used to bully people across the street. It just the list just keeps going. But Red Rock, it's very interesting. A lot of times these casinos, they don't go after each other. So to see them doing that and then Rio chiming in and seeing all this interaction between Rio won't even give you a Perrier for free while you're gambling. What club soda? I mean, I'm not gambling 25,000 a hand. So
I know you wanted to bring up the way Resorts World control them back.
No, yeah, how?
You want to say, hey, our fireworks, you can watch fireworks for free at our place.
Yeah, that's right. I had that in there. I forgot. Yes. I was going to say, yes, Red Rock will give you smoothies, but they will charge you for the fireworks. I actually saw some different marketing around that in the last couple of weeks, trying to kind of differentiate, saying that you could get free viewing from different areas of their properties and that the tickets are for their party by the pool or whatever. But they didn't market that correctly at first. And so they had to go back and say, hey, you can watch the fireworks from views, from everywhere, which everybody already knew.
That makes sense. Like if you're having a private party, a function out by the pool that has, drinks or finger food or whatever, and it's just like a elevated experience, I could see why you would charge it. And they would have ran it that way. Everybody would have been like, here's a great chance to see this in a more unique way. And, it's not that big of an outlay of cash. But the way they worded it just sounded so horrible.
And let's close with this. Some sad news. Another Vegas area casino closing. Another casino in Primm for Trim closing. Buffalo Bills will be closing as of July 7th, and it has been confirmed by the company. Now, it will remain open once in a while because they have a few concerts at the Star of the Desert Arena on the books, and so they said they'll open it for that. But 24/7 operations moving to Primm Valley. This is very confusing because coming out of COVID, Buffalo Bills is the one that they had left closed for a long time. Then they put in new carpet, freshened up everything. So it looked like that was the property they were going with. Then they kind of shuttered the hotel at Primm Valley, and now they're going back to Primm Valley. Whiskey Pete's closed sometime earlier this year. So it's just been an absolute mess. But in the end, Buffalo Bills going away, and we're going to be one casino in Primm and no hope for those rides ever coming back.
No trim and prim. Now, I mean, open up the damn roller coaster in the water ride and go all in with Buffalo. But if you're going to go all in with one of them, I think you should have brought that up to code. But people were saying that Primm Valley had better hotel rooms and stuff, and I guess the Buffalo Bill ones were in pretty bad shape. So maybe that's why they did it. I really enjoyed the casino when we went through it. I thought it was kind of a cool, unique property, and I would have probably drove people towards that. And if you opened up the rides, that would give people a reason to stop on their way into town. I mean, nobody's going to really stop just to gamble. Oh, let's gamble right before we get to Vegas and gamble, or on the way out. But if you had those rides, they would. And then maybe while they're there, they gamble. And you have to have an attraction of some sort. You're not going to have that. It's sad to see. Maybe they're just going to hold on to them and hope for a revival when the airport gets built out that way. But that's a long time to sit on a property.
Yeah, with Whiskey Pete's, remember they said that they were going to close it for 2 years, and that's how they went through the gaming regulatory stuff. So it remains to be seen what they'll do here. This company's just a mess. Remember they talked about big plans earlier this year, then the general manager got fired. They launched their buffet, it didn't go so well. So they've tried all this stuff over the years, and it doesn't seem like they know what the mix is, because like I said, they had kind of gone all in on Buffalo Bills. Primm Valley does have the mall attached to it, but all there is a thrift store there these days. And I agree. I mean, Primm Valley, they've redone the rooms, they say, so it has a nice pool as well. It's not buffalo shaped, but it is a nice little resort area. What are the odds that it survives, that anything is left there in the next 5 years?
Very small. But I think there's opportunity when stuff does open up there, when the airport's out that way, that they could revive one or two of these. It would be like a great airport, pre-airport hotel if you're flying out early or you land late. I think there's opportunity there. They're probably going to just try to hold on to it until that makes more sense. And then maybe you only keep one or two, but we'll have to see how that all goes. If it goes into foreclosure, how much would you pay to have that pool moved to your backyard?
I don't think it would fit. I'd rather buy the roller coaster. I want maybe the log flume. Oh God, how many places can you have a log flume through a casino? Come on, what a special, unique place. All of the theming there. It was something very different in its heyday that it no longer is, but it is one of the cooler casinos. And if you just put that Buffalo Bills casino in Vegas, I think people would love it. We talk about the loss of theming. It's there, and they've actually made it nicer over the last couple of years compared to how it was. But it is clear that this company has no idea what to do with these properties, and maybe there is no way to save them.
You have to have something to bring people out there because there's nothing else around it. I think having the rides there would do it. If they would have reopened them, that would have definitely brought a lot of people in that missed it over the last few years. And then it gives them something. And then lean into, they were doing pretty well with concerts there. Lean into like getting C-list instead of Backstreet Boys, get 98 Degrees. I don't know, something.
They got to do something. Let us know what they need to do.
Bring Nick Lachey back.
This is so sad. I know you didn't grow up going there, but I did, and so many of us did on the drive and watching this place and experiencing it over the years. And with Whiskey Pete's closing, that was a big shock. But with two of them gone now, it makes you really kind of open your eyes up to the third. I know what they need to do. They won't do it. They need to build a Buc-ee's. That's it. Put a Buc-ee's right there, attach it to the casino, and you're good to go.
They tried it, but that gas station sucks.
Well, they would put the fake Buc-ee's at it. That's the problem, is get rid of the fake Buc-ee's, put in a real one. I don't know. What can they do to save it? What do you think about Primm? Are you going to miss Buffalo Bills? Leave a comment. The gambling laws, that urinal at Flamingo, everything else we discussed on this show, leave a comment. We do 2 shows a week, Tuesdays and Fridays, and we will be back in a couple days with another show. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
98 Degrees will save Buffalo Bills, Sean. They will.
Love it.
Have a good weekend, everybody.